नमस्कार स्टूडेंट्स, मैं डॉक्टर संजय खाकिल आज आप लोगों के लिए ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम में एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट लेक्चर लेके आया हूँ। बफरिंग, हाउ टू वर्क बफर, इसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे। बफरिंग किस तरीके से काम करता है, क्या इसके अंदर प्रोसेस होता है, सीपीयू के अंदर किस तरीके से इसको यूटिलाइज करते हैं। लेट्स से एक हम डायग्राम के थ्रू समझने की कोशिश करेंगे। इन ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम बफर वर्क्स इन द फॉलोइंग वे, किस तरीके से ओवरलैप द इनपुट आउटपुट ऑपरेशन वन जॉब विद द एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ द सेम जॉब। वन इज द बफर, another one is RAM. This is the small area of RAM. This is the temporary storage area in main memory. RAM is called buffer. This is the buffer, temporary RAM. This is the CPU and this is the LED monitor, and this process is the buffering process. So buffering is done to deal effectively with a speed mismatch between the procedure and consumer of the data stream. Another one is buffer is produced in the main memory to heap up the byte received from the modern modems. Then after we will start after receiving the data in the buffer. The data get transferred to disk from the buffer in a single operation. 1. This process of the data transfer is not instructions. Therefore, the modem needs another buffer to store the additional incoming data. When the first buffer got filled, then it is requested to transfer the data to disk. Then the modem then fills the additional incoming data in the second buffer, while the data in the first buffer gets transferred to the disk. When both the buffer completed the task, the modem switch back to the first buffer, while the data from the second buffer gets transferred to the disk. Another one, two buffer disconnect the procedure and the data consumer, thus minimizing the time requirement between them. 1. Buffering also provided the various for the device that have the different data transfer size. And another buffer, advantage of buffer. Advantage क्या होता है बफर का? Buffering plays a very important role in any operating system during the execution of any process or task. It has the following advantage. Use of the buffer allows the uniform disk access and simplifying the system design process in the buffering. And another one is the system place no data alignment restriction on user process during input output by the copying data from user buffer to system buffer and vice versa. The kernel eliminates the need of the special alignment of user buffer, making user programs similar and more portable. The use of the buffer can reduce the amount of the disk traffic, thereby increasing overall system throughout the decreasing response time. And another one is the buffer algorithm help the ensure file system integrity. डिसएडवांटेज ऑफ बफर्स, बफर का डिसएडवांटेज क्या होता है? इट इज क्लोजली एंड empirical to have the buffer be the exact size required to hold the number of elements. Thus the buffer is slightly larger most of the time, with the rest of the space being wasted, and buffers have a fixed size. At any point in time when the buffer is full, it must be reallocated with the larger size, and the element must be moved. Similarly, when the number of valid elements in the buffer is significantly smaller than the size and the buffers, then must be reallocated with the smaller size and element be moved to avoid too much waste, and the use of the buffer required an extra data copy when the reading and writing to and all the user process when the transmitting amount to the data and extra copy performance. One is the disk scheduling algorithm in operating system. Disk scheduling क्या होता है? The process needs two of times, CPU time and input output times. For input output time, it requests to the operating system to access the disk. However, the operating system must be fair enough to satisfy each request, and at the same time, operating system must maintain the efficiency and speed of the process executions. The technique that operating system used to determine the request which is to be satisfied next is called disk scheduling. Let's discuss some important terms related to disk scheduling. One is the seek time. Seek time is the time taken in locating the disk arm to a specified track where the read write request will be satisfied. एक रोटेशनल लेटेंसी. रोटेशनल लेटेंसी इसके अंदर क्या होता है डिस्क शेड्यूलिंग में? इट इज द टाइम टेकन बाय द डिजायर्ड सेक्टर टू रोटेट इटसेल्फ टू द पोजीशन फ्रॉम वेयर इट कैन एक्सेस द read write header. Then the transfer time. It is the time taken to transfer the data. Another one is the disk access time. Disk access time क्या होता है? Disk access time is given as disk access time equal to rotational latency plus seek time plus transfer time. Another one is disk response time. It is the advantage of the time spent by each request waiting for the input output operation. Purpose of disk scheduling. क्या है पर्पज डिस्क शेड्यूलिंग का ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के अंदर, वो भी हम देख लेते हैं. The main purpose of the disk scheduling algorithm is to select a disk request from the queue of the input output request and decide the scheduling when this request will be the processed. And goal of the disk scheduling algorithm, क्या होता है गोल? One is the fairness, high throughput and minimal traveling head and time. डिस्क शेड्यूलिंग एल्गोरिथम कौन कौन सा होता है? डिस्क शेड्यूलिंग एल्गोरिथम. The various disk scheduling algorithm is given below. Each algorithm carries some advantage and disadvantage. The limitation of each algorithm leads to the evolution of the new algorithm. कौन कौन सी होती हैं? फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट सर्व शेड्यूलिंग एल्गोरिथम, SSTF शॉर्टेस्ट सीक टाइम फर्स्ट एल्गोरिथम, स्कैन शेड्यूलिंग, सी स्कैन शेड्यूलिंग, लुक शेड्यूलिंग, सी लुक शेड्यूलिंग, ये सारा का सारा होता है. अब दूसरी चीज़ इसके अंदर क्या होता है? रेड